Hi, folks. Hello from Copenhagen. This is a sort of introduction to sexual and gender orientation. After this piece of the lecture, there's a couple of videos I want you to watch. There's the one at the bottom of this slide you see here from the Vlog Brothers where they introduce sexual and gender orientation. But also, after I talk about asexuality, I want you to watch click on the link for the asexual documentary. Okay. So today we're going to start talking about gay, straight, in between, and nothing, because some people now consider asexuality to be an orientation. And again, the Vlog Brothers do a really nice introduction to this. So I want you to go ahead and watch that, and the link is below. Okay, so as always, we start off with definitions. What is a sexual orientation? So you know, the definition of sexual orientation has changed over the years. And our thinking about it has changed over the years. We used to think it was relatively binary, then trinary, now more of a continuum. The textbook gives a definition something like this, and I want to break this down, this definition. Sexual orientation is a distinct sense of natural preference and consistent attraction to sexual and romantic partners of particular sex or type in the presence of clear, viable alternatives. So let's break this down. Let's talk about this sense of natural preference, those words. Those are in there for a reason, and I like those words because most people about their sexual orientation, they feel it's something that they've been aware of for a long time. It doesn't feel like a choice. It seems like something innate or inborn. The next word I want to break down is this word consistent attraction. For most people, sexual orientation is stable over time. Now, this word isn't the best word in here because it's not true of everyone, particularly women who seem to be more fluid than men. For men, their sexual orientation is quite stable over time, but women have a little more wiggle room, women people, okay? Then these words, attraction to sexual and romantic partners. This part of the definition breaks down a bit too, because we now know that sexual attraction and romantic attraction aren't necessarily coupled in everybody. It's not if you're sexually attracted to men doesn't mean you're romantically attracted to men. It's the asexual community that really taught us about all these continua and all the ways that sexuality and romantic attraction can express itself. So they don't always go together. This part of the definition isn't that great. Partners of a particular sex type in the presence of clear, viable alternatives. What this part of the definition is saying is that if you live on a desert island and your only sexual and romantic partner is people of your same sex, then that doesn't count because you don't have any viable alternatives. And this is meant to apply to situations like prison. I think this is kind of funny, but when I was in graduate school, the social work department had a lot of women in it. For whatever reason, they presented as lesbian during graduate school, and then many of them shifted back to heterosexual after graduate school. And they had a word for it called lug, lesbian until graduation. But at any rate, but this is meant to apply to things like prison, for example. In the last 10, 15 years, this concept of asexuality has gotten a lot more attention, a lot more research, and we now think of it as a sexual preference. The term sometimes asexual folks use is ace, and here's the asexual pride flag right here. It's complicated. I know many of you all have heard some of these terms. Let's go over some of the prefixes, and you can use these prefixes to indicate romantic attraction, sexual attraction, and even in some cases, gender. A usually means without, and so aromantic means I don't have romantic attraction. I'm not romantically attracted to anyone. And asexual means I'm not sexually attracted to anyone. And agender could mean I don't have a gender. I don't think of myself as gendered in any kind of traditional way. Bi, as you probably know, means two. And so two options, usually with romantic and sexual means male and female. The two most common are male and female attraction. Hetero means different and homo means same. So if you're heterosexual or heteromantic, you fall in love with or sexually attracted to people who are the opposite sex as you. Opposite's a very interesting word here. So what does it mean to have an opposite sex? And homo means same sex. Pan means all. So you could be bisexual, which means sexually attracted to two genders. You're pansexual, it means you're attracted to all genders, every possible combination. It really doesn't matter to you. Andro means men, so you could be, if you were a man who was attracted to men, this is a little tricky, you'd both be homosexual and androsexual, okay? And gyno means women, of course. Demi's a little bit different, and I've never heard demi used with gender, though these things change all the time. Demi is usually used for sexual. Demisexual usually means people who don't feel sexually attracted until they know someone. So demisexuals, they don't sit in the square and check out people as they walk by and say, oh, they're hot. They don't feel somebody's hot, or they're not sexually attracted until they know somebody and form some sort of bond with them. And finally, the word poly, it's slightly different than bi and different than pan, that it means more than two, but not all. So somebody who's poly might be attracted to men, women, and also non-gender binary people, but not all. And so there's a lot of variability in these terms. I wouldn't get too hung up on them, but I want you to at least know what the prefixes mean. Okay, we're going to come back to this next class and talk about the Chasen article you all read for today. And now what I'd like you to do is put me down and watch Asexual. And there's a link to it in below.